It has been a long day. I'm to that point where the sound of a child's voice just makes me go inside. But they are all in bed now, and the quiet part of the night, I think, is a great time for introspection. And I wanted to do the post-game interview for this game while the game was still sort of fresh in my mind. I didn't have time to do it right after, and Evie was bouncing off the walls anyway. I wanted to kind of, since it's an interview with myself, do something a little more thoughtful, a little more introspective, and talk a little bit about my feelings about Amazing Tales and about just gaming in general and what I hope to accomplish with Amazing Tales. Amazing Tales has kind of a special place in my heart because I have a couple of reasons. I think first of all, it's something I can do with Evie, with my 5-year-old. Right? You can't play D&D with a 5-year-old, really. At least I can't. I don't know how to do that, but you could see how excited she was. She loves it, and that's a really fun thing for both her and I, and so I love that about it. But I think beyond that, Amazing Tales has given me the opportunity to develop in ways that other games really haven't. A little bit of history. I got into gaming when I was in high school or maybe junior high, and I played a lot of Middle-earth role-playing, and I didn't really have anyone to teach me the game, so I just kind of had to learn it. My friends and I were really bad at it. I felt like there was this potential for storytelling that they had, and for these deep experiences that I was not quite tapping into. I always just felt like there was more to it, and I wanted to develop those skills, and didn't really have the opportunity to. At the time, I didn't have a great group to play with, people who knew what they were doing, or innovators. I was not into drama or any of those kinds of things. At that time, games were a lot more simulationist anyway, and so the whole drama storytelling aspect was maybe underemphasized. Then I became an adult, and I think like a lot of people in my generation, I kind of put it on a shelf. And as my kids got older, especially Will, I thought, this would be a great thing for them. So I got back into it, and I was still really bad at it, maybe even worse because, I was a stuffy adult now and I hadn't played for years. But I started doing a lot of things to cultivate my skills. And what I found was my storytelling skills were kind of lacking. And I also found that I had a really hard time with like the idea of improv, with reacting to what was going on, and it kind of terrified me. Like, what happens if the story goes off the rails? What happens if the players do something crazy? And what am I going to do? I remember a few years ago, Kids on Bikes came out, and I remember reading through the rule set, thinking this game sounds really cool, but I don't think I could run it very well, if at all. It kind of scared me, and the kids wanted to play, and I've still never played that one with my kids because at the time I just didn't think I could. Probably dust that one off and try it again. Try it, period. I started to try and do things to cultivate storytelling and to become better at that. And Evie talked about one of those today with the Ishi Snaggletooth character. And what I was doing, I was driving a lot at the time to and from work and other places. And I would listen to Roll20, and I would listen to the adventures, and then to make myself become a better storyteller, I would come home and I would retell those stories to Evie, and she loved them. It was like the highlight of her night, and I began to discover at that time how important storytelling is to kids. I think it's something that we unfortunately don't do enough of in our culture. I think that people love storytelling, kids love storytelling, adults love storytelling. I remember when I started playing around with it, I started experimenting with the older kids and telling like 10 and 12-year-olds bedtime stories, and I thought for sure, like, they're not going to buy this, but they loved it. Like, they eat it up. And so I think it's part of who we are as people. It's an important skill. So I started to develop this, and Evie was the perfect audience. Little kids are so forgiving, and they think it's wonderful even if your story kind of sucks. But what happened is eventually I was doing other things, I wasn't always listening, and I didn't have fresh material that I could just steal. So I had to start coming up with my own stuff. It was a little scary. I found that Evie again was a very forgiving audience, and I was able to make up my own stories. And we've been doing Ishii stories off and on for like 2.5 years now, and it's been a great experience for me. It's been a great experience for her, and it's really helped my storytelling. So what does that have to do with Amazing Tales? Well, a little after I started doing Ishii stories, I discovered Amazing Tales, and Evie was still pretty young. And I tried playing it with her when she was like 4.5 or pushing 5, and she was just a little too young for it at that point. We tried a few times, but then reintroduced her to it just after she was 5. I can't remember. I don't know. Blurs together. Too many kids, too many years. But anyway, what I found was it really, again, it pushed me to be able to innovate on the fly, to be able to react to an audience and to help that audience tell their story while at the same time working through the story that I had planned, or at least the plot points. The game's pretty simple. And as you saw, it's a short game. You don't necessarily, I mean, you can play longer sessions, and Evie and I have played a few longer ones, but it's great for like a 15 or 20-minute game, and you can go and you can hit a few plot points and see where the story goes, and then you can think about it afterwards. All right, what do I want to do next? What am I gonna, what kind of challenges do I want to throw at her? And again, little kids are such a forgiving audience and so great, and so it allowed me to really build my confidence and to build that skill. It just takes practice to get good at these things. And like I said, I was never a drama student. I was never into acting or any of those things. And a lot of these skills were really underdeveloped in me. I felt I just had to work on them. And so Amazing Tales, I think, has been the perfect blend of storytelling with improv, and I don't know, just it blends a lot of the classic role-playing game elements with these storytelling elements and allows you to really cultivate those skills in a great way. And it's done so much for my ability to run D&D or to run any number of other games. I'm tired, so I can't think of any other is right now, but Savage Worlds, I've been doing a lot of that. So what I've been doing lately is I've been watching a lot of David J.P. Phillips videos. He's a kind of a public speaker guy. He used to coach executives and business people about how to do presentations and communicate more effectively, and now he's become a YouTuber and does YouTube videos about similar things. And it's been great watching him. He's got lots of tips on how to present better and how to be better. He calls it public speaking, but it really dovetails with storytelling. They're, at some point they're the same thing. And he really promotes the idea of using stories in your presentations, that storytelling is one of the most powerful tools that we have in our arsenal to create emotion. And so he's been great. And he critiques all these people and talks about what they're doing right and what they're doing wrong and how to be better at it. And sitting down this afternoon and watching Evie and I play, I realized that Evie was hitting all these check boxes, big smiles, lots of emotion, lots of physical expression. There are so many things that she's doing right. And I realized that my 5-year-old's a better storyteller, a better public speaker than I am. In terms of what I want to work on as I do more of these games, whether I'm recording them for the show or whether I'm just playing with Evie or the other kids, what I want to begin to do is I want to cultivate some of these other skills, these presentation skills, to help convey better emotion, more emotion, to infuse that into my stories and make that part of them. I want to be able to go to an audience that's maybe not as enthusiastic as Evie was out of the gate today. I want to be able to go to that audience and pull that emotion out of them, right? I want to infuse that into them. I want to be able to excite somebody who isn't already excited and get them to where they're as into the game as Evie was today. And part of how you do that, I think, is you have to have that excitement yourself, and you have to be able to communicate that excitement to your players. And that's what I want to work on right now. This also dovetails into interviews and talking to myself and a camera about gaming at night. Anyway, these are skills that I want to cultivate. As we do this, I want to, if you haven't already picked up on this with these pre and post game interviews, I want to talk to people about what they're doing in their game and what they want to cultivate. And I'm really excited. I have some great ideas of other players who are game masters who I'd like to have run Amazing Tales, and there's a great storytelling community here locally, and I'm hoping to tap that. We'll see how well that goes. But I'd love to get some professionals or semi-professionals in here and see what they can do with it and how they can use these tools, and see what they're working on with their stories, and hopefully hearing what people want to accomplish and then seeing them trying to accomplish it can be a great learning tool for all of us here in the community watching the videos. So anyway, that's what I've got for tonight. I'm really excited about the things that we're able to do with this show. I'm already learning so much. I feel like I'm smiling more often. I feel like, as ridiculous as that sounds, I feel like I am a little bit better as a parent and a little bit better as a storyteller because of the things we're trying to do on this YouTube channel. It's forcing me to grow in ways that I haven't for a long time, if ever. And I'm really excited about that. And as we begin to build a community, I'm really excited to get feedback. It may be years before we get too many followers. We'll see. But I'm hoping that at least a few people locally will comment, and that this could be a place to create some dialogue about how to improve our gaming and how to work on it in a more organic way than we often get in YouTube videos and electronic venues. So anyway, look forward to any comments, any questions, any thoughts that anybody has out there. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope to hear from you soon. Talk to you later.
Be sure to hit the like button so my dad will play more Amazing Tales with